Is the NBA rigged? How was that call not made? How does that ref still have a job? These are questions all of us NBA fans are probably asking ourselves at the moment. How many games can you remember with horrible late game calls that had a huge effect on the outcome? What if NBA officiating could be automated, objectively correct, and done efficiently? Does that concept seem too good to be true? Well, the future of NBA officiating is here. The NBA has partnered with Sony and their Hawkeye technology to make this a reality. You're not going to want to miss this one. Nobody is talking about it right now, but it's going to have a huge impact on the game. You may be wondering, why are we even covering this? Well, if you've been watching the NBA as of recent, you know that there have been lots of controversies in the world of NBA officiating. Whether you're a fan, a player, or a coach, you are heated when you know a bad call was made. It's an issue that can dramatically impact the outcome of games and the overall perception of the league. Think about how many times you see players complaining about referees' calls. Think about how many times you see coaches absolutely heated and cursing out refs. Think about how many times you find yourself yelling at your TV when you see a bad call. And add all those up, and it's a lot. Every single game. Now, although it's a common occurrence, there are few refs that take the cake and have really been at the forefront of this whole controversy. Number 1, Tim Donaghy. If you don't know who Tim Donaghy is, well, now there's a whole Netflix special on his story called Untold. Go check it out later. It's crazy. Anyways, he is a former NBA ref who most notably refereed high-stakes games in the 90s and mid-2000s. He was thrown in prison after being caught in this elaborate gambling scandal where he was betting on games he refereed. Since he had the power of the whistle, he intentionally made horrible calls and favored certain teams or players while disregarding others. The biggest game that he admitted to being called dirty was Game 6 of the 2002 NBA Western Conference Finals. This was an iconic series between Shaq and Kobe's Lakers and Chris Webber's Kings. The Kings were up 3-2 on the Lakers and just needed to close out Game 6 to move on to the NBA Finals. In the fourth quarter, the Lakers ended up getting nearly every call their way, where they got to attempt 18 more free throws than the Kings. Whew! If you look back at the game, you can see some foul calls on the Kings that got their players and coaches heated. Tim was a driver behind lots of those calls. The Lakers ended up winning that game, the series, and went on to win the 2002 NBA Finals. Think about this. If Tim's crooked ways don't affect that game, our memory of Shaq and Kobe's Lakers could be very different. Their team could have split up a lot sooner, meaning the Lakers' three-peat would have never happened, and the small market Kings would have been able to light the beam and not be known as the team with the longest championship drought in the NBA. Now, sure, this is the most extreme example of NBA officiating gone wrong. Let's look at the modern day. Number 2, Scott Foster. Scott Foster is a current NBA ref who has been in the league for nearly 30 years. Ask any NBA star which ref they dislike the most, and it's probably this guy. Don't believe us? According to recent NBA anonymous player polls, Foster has been labeled as the worst referee in the league. And guess what? He has worked on NBA games with Tim Donaghy. He even has the nickname The Extender, because teams that are trailing in playoff series oftentimes win when he is the ref on the court, extending the series longer. Two big standout beefs here. Beef number 1 is with Chris Paul. There was a point where CP3's last 14 playoff games were all L's when Foster was part of the ref team. Chris Paul has been very vocal about his dislike for Scott. You know, Chris Paul's playoff identity as not being able to close a deal on many occasions, well, one could argue that Chris Paul's legacy might be different if it weren't for this feud with Scott Foster. Beef number 2 is with the Miami Heat. Now, this one got a lot of attention just recently. In the 2022 NBA playoffs, the Heat went 0-3 with Scott Foster, and this past 2023 regular season they went 0-5. Of the 3 2022 playoff games they lost that year with Foster, one was Game 7 versus Boston, and the other 2 were Game 3s when the Heat had 2-1 leads in the series. Miami has had a lot of playoff success in recent years, but there's a chance they could have even more if games weren't refereed by Foster. Those are just a few examples of notorious referees, but bad officiating is rampant amongst the league. Whether it's a soft technical foul, a missed foul call, or something else, there's something that needs to be done about it. While the NBA has implemented measures like the use of video replay to correct obvious errors, the issue of bad officiating remains a challenge. It's a reminder that everyone is human and can make mistakes. As long as there are human referees making split-second judgments, there will be room for error and controversy. However, it's essential for the league and its officials to continue working towards greater consistency and fairness to maintain the integrity of the game and the trust of its fans. The NBA has also started to release 2-minute reports. These reports are a full play-by-play of the last 2 minutes of games that were at or within 3 points. They look back at notable plays and double-check them to correct calls, incorrect calls, correct non-calls, or incorrect non-calls. Yeah, that's a lot for your brain. Now, can this ultimately change what happened in that game? No, but it is at least a step towards transparency. There have been several times last season where incorrect calls or non-calls occurred that had an effect on the outcome of the game. Those reports are released to the public on the NBA's website and usually picked up on by social media to highlight the ongoing problem. Alright, so what the heck is Hawkeye technology anyway? Here's the thing. Hawkeye tracking is actually regularly featured in sports like tennis and even the 2022 FIFA World Cup to help with officiating decisions. Let's take a look at this Hawkeye technology in the game of tennis. See how every serve, every hit, every movement of the ball is tracked by Hawkeye to deliver accurate and automated calls on whether the ball is within bounds or not? Now, the referees still make the initial call, but replays and player challenges can confirm or deny that the correct call was made. This speeds up the game, puts players' minds at ease, and makes it more enjoyable for fans. And how does it do that? By capturing player and ball movements in real time. The primary technology that Hawkeye offers is the synchronized multi-angle replay technology, also known as SMART. Hawkeye technology has installed its optical tracking system in every NBA arena. The entire system has 14 cameras with 4K resolution that operate at 120 frames per second, twice the speed of the usual broadcast feed. It will also allow for 29 different tracking points on each NBA player's body, instead of just one right now. Imagine this for the NBA. No debate on whether a player or ball was out of bounds or not. No debate on whether a player shot a 3 or a 2-pointer. No debate on whether a player was hit on the arm or not on their way to the layup. And don't you just hate having to wait several minutes for a review of an important call to be made in the fourth quarter? Every movement on the court will be tracked. This will be a huge stride for the NBA, essentially eliminating human error and subjectivity in officiating. It would make the refs' jobs easier, the players and coaches less frustrated, and the fans happier. It also serves as a huge step for the future of creating an even more analytic-driven league. For NBA players, teams, and fans alike, NBA players and their staff can see deeper insights into the movements of each player to help them prevent injury, improve their game, and strategize plays. Fans, especially big NBA nerds, what's up guys, will be able to know their favorite players on a deeper level than ever before. And that's just a start to it. Who knows how it can evolve? Real-life NBA games may end up being gamified as much as NBA 2K. Now, although it's fair to be hyped about it, it may take some time for this NBA officiating and analytics paradise. The NBA has actually been testing the Hawkeye technology in Summer League games. They have been using it as a low-stakes breeding ground for the system to improve as it gathers more data. As far as the real NBA season and playoffs, the 2023 impact will mainly be around improvement of goaltending calls, which was thought to be a good starting point. More complex calls like foot on the line or out of bounds calls are still in development and can't be implemented until it's approved by a few NBA committees and groups. It may be a few seasons before this technology is fine-tuned enough to affect every NBA play, but when it does, watch out. Before we let you go, let us know, what is your current take on NBA officiating? Do you think it is rigged? What games do you think were totally decided by refs? Thanks for watching. Can't wait to see you in the comments.